Okay, so I just finished the Buccaneers last night, and I have been having thoughts, and I'm just like, okay, I should just talk about it. If you don't know me, I'm obsessed with period dramas. I've reacted to a few. I'm obsessed with romance. I'm obsessed with the genre, this time period, everything about it. So I was really excited when I heard there was a new show, and I was intrigued. I knew a couple of the people in it, so I decided to check it out. I did wait until all the episodes were out, so I didn't have to wait. I could just binge. This is gonna be like a more casual chat about it. I don't have anything like prepared necessarily. But yeah, so my thoughts, I mean, I liked it overall. It's a mishmash of a lot of different things, but I kind of live. I do think it's unique. It's definitely, reminiscent of a lot of other period dramas. Okay, well, I feel like I should just talk about the big thing about this, to me, in my opinion. I hate love triangles. They are never done well. They are always destructive. They are stupid. They are inane. I kind of can't stand them because they never work. Only has there ever once been a love triangle that I have actually seen and been like, yep, that's a love triangle. That's a dilemma. Like, that's, seeing chemistry for both. Because usually it's always just like one is so much more obviously the one and they don't even like the other one, like, at all. And so I just think it's stupid and a little insulting to viewers' intelligence, but it just almost never works. It almost is never compelling. It almost never, the chemistry is never like equally as good. The love interests are never equally as fleshed out or interesting. The one place that has been done is Skins. The Effie Cook and Freddie love triangle. Eat it up. Eat it up. I shipped both of those ships. I would have been happy if either one of them was successful, and I would have been concurrently sad that the other one was not successful. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, whoever she ends up with, I'll be happy about, but I'll be sad for the other person, whichever way that was gonna go. That's a really kind of like difficult thing to do. It's a difficult line to like tiptoe, so I thought I was sold. You know what I mean? Like, I saw Guy and their first meetings and interactions, and I was like, oh, period. Oh, absolutely. Okay, absolutely. I see. But then Theo and her had their first interaction, and I was like, we might be in trouble. We really might be in trouble because why was that cute too? Why did I like that as well? Why is it working for both of them? So long story short, I ship both of them. I do. I really do. It's so weird because it is so unlike me to have this type of preference. Like, Guy and Nan are so my cup of tea. Like, it's just so what I would normally like, and I do like it. I want to make that very clear. I do. I live. But it's just so my bread and butter that I am shook at the fact that I am low-key for Theo. What? It doesn't make any sense. I don't really even know. I'm trying to psychoanalyze it as best as I can. I think a part of it might be that the actors are dating in real life, and I love when actors date in real life. Like, that's my favorite shit. I know some people are against that. Girl, I live for it. Always have, always will. Okay? The je ne sais quoi that it provides, you know what I mean? The tension, the energy, the knowingness, the knowledge, like, it's, So I think both of them have really good chemistry with her. As far as, like, who's more compatible, Guy, probably, right? Like, they showed multiple instances of where, like, Nan and Theo have differences, where in those exact same places, Nan and Guy have a lot of similarities and are very similar and understand each other and get each other and do all this stuff. But I do feel like the chemistry is pretty even, to me at least, and I don't know if that's me just, like, inserting the knowledge that I know that Kristine and Guy, who plays Theo, are together in real life, that I just like, I don't know, maybe that's on me. I'm sorry. But I love them. I live for them. I live for both of them. I love both of those men. And it's like, neither of them had to be villainized either. I think they definitely did go more of a villainization route at certain times with Theo, which makes sense. I mean, if I had to guess, I mean, I'm sure, but could they subvert? They do. I don't know. I'm so conflicted. I know she's probably gonna end up with Guy. And so it makes sense that, like, Theo is being a little controlling or, like, a little, sassy to Guy and whatever. But you could argue that it's fucked up of Guy to, like, go after his best friend's fiance. So, like, it's just messy. It always is. But I like both of them as characters. I like both of their characters. I think they're both interesting. I think they're both very attractive. I think they're both good people. Like, I'm like, period. And the thing about this is I genuinely really think that Nan could have a really happy life with either one of them, which is something that is missing in a lot of love triangles. Because if you think about, like, the, second place or whatever, so, like, Bella, Edward, and Jacob, for example, if you take Bella and imagine the life she would have with Jacob, you're just like, no, she's so fucking obsessed with Edward, she would never get over that in her entire life. Like, it is just so uneven, it's not even funny, you know what I mean? It's just like, there's no competition. It's laughable to think that Bella could live a happy life with Jacob when Edward exists. However, in the Buccaneers, I actually, even though I do think at least she's outwardly expressed more love and more, they've pushed a kind of like a, soulmate narrative between Nan and Guy, I genuinely think she would be very happy with either one of them. Like, I think she could love Theo. I think maybe she does a little, which again, love. Like, I never, in love triangles, I'm always like, the girl is obsessed with one of them and doesn't even like the other one. You know what I mean? So, like, the power of me being like, no, I think they both love her, and I think she low-key kind of loves both of them. And that was the same way with Effie. Like, I do think Effie loved Cook. And it was just that Freddie, like, had the edge. And I was prepared for that, right? Like, but I don't think it was such a gross imbalance that it was, like, laughable, the idea that she could end up with Cook. It was like, well, I think she could be happy. I think they do have a good relationship. I do think they bond a lot. I do think there's a lot of similarities. There was a lot there to build on that could be built upon. So much so that you were like, it could go either way. It'll probably go this way, but it could go this way. And I think either way would be good. Whereas, like, in other love triangles, it's just like, girl, be for fucking real. Be for fucking real. You don't like this man, okay? You don't. I don't care what he says or you say or whatever. You don't like him. And it's just, one is so far ahead of the other, like, leaps and bounds beyond the other, that it's just laughable to consider them being with the alternative option. Whereas in these two love triangles and Skins and the Buccaneers, I don't think it's laughable to consider the option that she could end up with Theo. Like, something, sometimes writers subvert, like, they could do a whole arc where, like, they have a marriage of convenience that's, like, fake, and then it turns into, best friends, and then it turns into lovers, and Guy's away, and then Guy comes back, and then I would live for that. If this was Nan and Guy season, give me a Nan and Theo season. And then bring Guy back, and then it's like, fuck, what the fuck do I do? And we're like, girl, what the fuck do you do? Like, I don't know. Like, make it even more conflicting. Make it even more heart-wrenching. Make it even just, like, more excruciating for me to watch and to contemplate, because, I love that. I am a glutton for punishment when it comes to angst, longing, pining, and, well, that's another reason why I'm like, they're very doing, like, forbidden love, longing, angst, pining with Nan and Guy, so I feel like that should be the thing that I'm like, really, but, like, I just keep going back to Theo. I keep getting sad about Theo. I'm like, but Theo and Nan are so cute, but Nan and Guy are so cute too. Like, it's a really, you can tell, it's a really difficult predicament, okay? I am struggling to make sense of it. I don't know. But there's just something, like, deep down, like, I don't know. Both of them are so good. It's just like, but again, like, the quality, top tier. Because it's like, there are no other love triangles like this other than Skins that I know of. You know what I mean? Where I'm, like, actually conflicted. I'm actually confused. I think it's in the realm of possibility that the protagonist is actually conflicted and confused as well. You know what I mean? I'm just like, ooh, girl. I think they've definitely, hammered home the fact that, like, Theo and her have more differences than her and Guy. So you can make an argument that, like, Guy's better because he understands her more, knows her better, or is more like her, and, they're closer in their titles or class or whatever. But you can make an alternative argument that, like, there is good to be had by differences in a relationship and, like, some challenges and maybe, like, learning, growing, changing, like, so it's just hard. It's hard to say. I don't know which one. I think she'll probably, I don't know. I would love, can please, can you guys, like, just give Theo more of a chance. You know what I mean? At least before, or, like, I'm trying to think of, like, the alternatives, like, who could they be with? There's always new characters that can be introduced, but, I think of like Brooke and Lucas and Peyton and Lucas. Actually, I didn't mind either of those either. I definitely was like, one is definitely gonna go. Like, it was I was like, okay. Even though some seasons they did try and make it seem like it was like on an even playing field, I think they were gonna have Brooke and Lucas end up together at some point. But again, seeing the way that they like crafted out of that, you know what I mean? Like, they wrote themselves out of a corner in that. They were really hammering home Brooke and Lucas, and then it was like, actually, never mind. And then by the end of it, it was like, yeah, this is how it was supposed to be, and like, now Brooke and Lucas are friends. Like, I could see that happening with either one of them, Theo or Guy. Like, years passing, something happening. There's just a lot that could happen to influence the state. I wish it was a little bit more clear, like, how Nan feels about Theo fully. She never verbalized, I guess, that she loved him. But I do think she really likes him, if not loves him. So I really don't know where they're going with that, because I really could see, like, at the end, obviously, they're, like, giving Guy his endgame, right? But I could see a world in which they pivot from that and then develop Nan and Theo's relationship more to make it even more conflicting. And then she has, like, a choice to make. I'm trying to think of examples, but I feel like I have shipped couples like that before, where originally it didn't seem like it was going to be endgame, and then, like, they grew, and then I was like, ah! Maybe Raphael and Jane? But that, I don't know, that's a whole other situation. That had a whole other set of complications that are not relevant here. So maybe it's romance novels that I've read. It's probably that. It is probably, now that I'm saying it, it's probably that. I think I have read a few historical romance novels in which this is pretty much the plot, and then she ends up with what would be like the Theo figure in this, and you live. Because they, like, developed it. I think they could go either way. But if not, I hope they get, like, another, But I don't know, they're both making such grand, sweeping declarations about Nan, like, it feels a little silly to, like, be like, well, it doesn't, Because, like, if you're not with someone, you often can and will get over them just by virtue of time. Deadass. That can be the only factor that keeps you from someone. But they made it so that, like, both of them are just like, there's no one else in the world for me. That I'm like, okay, I feel a little silly thinking, already being like, well, I hope they give them a secondary love interest. Whoever she ends up with, like, the person who's left behind, I hope they give another love interest. But it's like, girl, can that... But I don't know, people say grand shit all the time, and they change, and they grow. I don't know if this show... No, I think the show is, like, emotionally mature enough to understand that. And those two things can coexist. But I don't know. I don't know where it's going, but I like both of them. As characters, I like both of their chemistry with Nan. Physically, period, like, the banter, the conversation, brings out different sides. Like, both of them have a different connection. And I think that is also a real strength of this. It's like, there's something different that comes out with Nan with each of them. And that is... And it's kind of up to her to decide which one she wants to come out more. I'm going to say this generally before I go into character specifics, because another thing that I noticed about the show and really liked is there were a lot of different storylines that touched on a lot of different things, but it didn't necessarily feel forced. So, like, we have the, lesbian lovers storyline. Love. Forbidden love. Romance, LGBTQ, accepting, like, coming out, getting caught, like, there's so much there, right? And that's, like, one umbrella. And then under the other umbrella, we have fucking, child sexual abuse, it seems, and grooming and, that type of stuff, predatory inclinations, and, flipped a little bit because it's an older woman and a younger man, whereas usually it's the other way around. So a little spin on that, but we have that. And I actually find it very interesting that they're exploring this for this time period and also through the lens of a man, because I think there is a lot more that's, like, socially acceptable to men, like, culturally. It's like, oh yeah, good for you or whatever. You see, like, female teachers sleeping with their students and people are like, he's a legend. You know what I mean? There's, like, an encouragement of it. And so I think I really liked seeing him so, like, confused, and he did a really good job acting that as well. Like, he was so confused, and it was, like, just now occurring to him that maybe it wasn't right, and that maybe something was wrong. Like, it checks out with the rest of his character, like, his confusion, his repression, his inaction, his ability to, like, stand up to his family, his wavering, like, all of those things really go back to that root source, which I think was good. And I hope that him and Conchita can, like, work through that together. I hope that she can open his eyes to, how terrible that was and help him heal from it, as she's opened his eyes to, a lot of like fun and a lot of unconventional things that he would have never known or tried or done. So we have that storyline, predatory grooming. And then we have, just a sexual assault / domestic abuse storyline with that man. Ugh. Oof. When I catch you. We have both of those storylines, which actually are very different. There's a lot of nuances in each of them, but I think it's so interesting because it was such brash destruction of both of those women, but in such different ways, and barely with the lift of a finger. And that is how it is. It's quite literally, I guess you could say, opposites, because it's like he doesn't technically touch Lizzie, right? And he's putting hands on Jenny. You know what I mean? It's so you have like the full spectrum of kind of like fucking abusive men, which I loved. And I don't know that there's much domestic violence ever explored in period dramas. So that felt new, that felt fresh, that felt exciting, that felt interesting to see through this lens. And then with Nan, you have some issues of, class differences, money, illegitimacy, like, just so much. And like each storyline provides something so unique and so specific in the greater themes explored that I'm just like, period. And issues addressed, but it somehow they were able to not have it feel shoehorned in or like really forced. It felt pretty natural. It was kind of like, yes, this makes sense. But again, I feel like a lot of these things are like somewhat new, or maybe if they're not totally new, it's a new take on these issues, but I can't recall like really dealing with a lot of domestic violence storylines in period pieces, in historical romance. So that's a very interesting thing to see. And of course, it's a very different, situation than like maybe today, not to downplay any of the difficulty of being in a domestic violence situation today. But, today there are more resources, there is more knowledge about it. A woman can divorce, whereas like back then, girl, the woman has like nothing. Like she is in a bad spot. Like she is really trapped, really stuck. Like she has to literally run away. Could we see Guy and Jenny? Could we? Because there was something about the shot of them, not anything that was inherently romantic or sexual about the shot itself or anything, but like the shot of them in the carriage, I was like, so he's going to be taking care of her in a foreign land, away from Nan and Theo, where they're getting married, and she's going to be raising this baby alone, and she doesn't, she's not with her husband anymore. Like, I was just like, And I would kind of like that. I know that, like, they're pushing Nan and Guy, but I could see it. Could you see it? Am I crazy? Is this wishful thinking or something? But again, I want to make it clear, like, I like Nan and Theo. I do like Nan and Theo, but I like Nan and Guy. I do. I ship it. I ship both of them. I'm so conflicted. I'm so confused. So frustrated. Okay, so that's, like, addressing general storylines. I'm sure when I discuss each character, more will come up. So I'll start with Nan. I didn't realize that, like, people didn't like Nan. I like Nan. What has she done? Really? Like, both of these guys are obsessed with her. It's not her fault. I'm sorry, but it's not her fault that both of these guys are fucking obsessed with her after meeting her once. Like, it's so misogynistic. They're like, she's so selfish. She's playing both of them. She's using both of them, whatever. I'm like, girl, they are both literally begging her to be with them. And she's like, what? Like, I don't know why there has to be so much blame, because in situations like this, it's just kind of an unfortunate side effect of the math. Well, we have a left triangle. One's gonna be left out. One person is gonna be sad, unfortunately. But it's not, like, inherently the protagonist's fault. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not her fault, And this is complicated, but, like, in other situations, it's like, it's not her fault she doesn't like him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, girl, give it up, give it a rest. I think she does like Theo, so that's not really applicable here, but it's not, I'm just like, how is she so selfish? I mean, she definitely had a couple moments of, like, self-centeredness, for sure. But people are like, she, like, literally talk about her being evil. She's not evil. She's not evil. She's just that girl. And it's not her fault that everyone's obsessed with her. Okay? Leave her alone. What has she done that's actually bad? Like, she's been a great sister, a great friend, partner, I don't know, great daughter, for the most part. A great woman. What is she? Why do you hate her? Why do you hate her? I think you just hate women. And I mean that. Like, I mean, if, like, you, like, have a really, like, a rational hate towards Nan that you can't really explain, or, like, when you try and explain it, it doesn't really make sense or it doesn't really track because you're like, you can't actually point to evidence of things that she's done to make you hate her. Look at that. And I'm being serious, like, that's a genuine thing because I have dealt with that a lot where, like, I've had to really reevaluate internalized misogyny and be like, why do I hate this woman so much? And it's like, oh, internalized misogyny. Okay, I see. And maybe she will show more, you know, immature, but I don't know. I just don't know what she's really done that wrong. Would someone like to illuminate me? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe I have missed something, or maybe I'm just forgetting something, or not really thinking about it hard enough. Again, these are my immediate thoughts, so they're not, like, the most well thought out. I could definitely change my opinion on any of this stuff upon further reflection, but yeah, she's that girl. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that everyone fell in love with her. She was the one that was not supposed to be getting married, but of course then everyone wanted to marry her. Both those guys do not care about her illegitimate status. They're obsessed with her. And to be honest, as they should be. As they should be. She's lovely and beautiful and smart and powerful and strong, and we live. I stand. I love her. Lizzie, devastating. Devastating. I kind of didn't like how much of a backseat she took. Hopefully in the second season they will give her more of it, because her story was literally just trauma from being assaulted. I mean, she just, like, was barely in it at the end. It was like she was really traumatized over that assault, and then she was, like, kind of not really in it. And there was no real progression. She tried to help Jenny, that was there, but, like, I don't know, she took a real big backseat. Conchita, love, Liv. I was confused about this relationship, but I actually, you know what, I really appreciate this relationship, because they get married in the first episode. And still, so much turmoil, so much angst, so much longing, yearning, pining, fighting, making up. Like, you can do it. And I love that the historical romance genre allows for this, because it's like, you can be in a relationship with someone and still have all the kind of, like, delicious tropes and phases and, you know, things that people who aren't together have, but they're together. You know what I mean? Like, there was still, like, periods of longing. There were still periods of miscommunication. There's still periods of pining. I love that that was able to be incorporated, and I love the representation for that, because I think there should be a little bit more of that. I think there should be more couples that are couples. Because a lot of ships, it's like they're not actually a couple until, like, the end or whatever. And there's a lot of stuff in between the, you know, twisty-turny, but they're not, like, together until the end. So I like seeing a couple that is together, but still giving me life. Still giving me, like, okay. Intrigue. We have drama. Like, love. Jenny is an interesting character. I definitely saw what they were doing with her. Like, I was like, okay, she wasn't, to be honest, particularly endearing from the beginning. And I think that was intentional, because even though I didn't have, like, an overwhelming fondness for Jenny or, like, a favoritism toward Jenny necessarily, I didn't dislike her, but I wasn't, like, obsessed with her. I wasn't like, love you. It puts the, like, viewer in a situation where, like, you see just how much no one deserves the type of treatment that she's gotten, because even with all the things that she's done, the ways that she's been selfish, the immaturity, like, there are some things that are, like, pretty, I think she's more, it seems like, selfish or bratty or immature than Nan, but any of those actions, it's just like, you're just like, no one deserves this. No one deserves what she's going through. And you see how it changes her, and I think that arc was good because it's growth and change for her, and I hate that she had to go through that in order to maybe change and maybe get rid of some of those more negative qualities, but, like, I love that she told Nan. I really do. I thought she was going to stay in that. I thought she was going to keep it a secret. She wasn't going to talk to anybody about it. I love that she said it. She's young also. I mean, it's like you can't really fault her. And also, I mean, all of them systemically are, like, in a weird spot where, like, you have to get married and that's, like, the end of the world if you don't. So her being, like, kind of cutthroat with marriage is not necessarily her fault either. It's just kind of, like, the society that they live in. So I'm glad that Nan's safe. I'm glad that Nan's safe. I don't like that she's pregnant with that man's baby. I liked the whole unraveling of that relationship, and I liked that we knew before she did, and I liked that as it progressed, like, it was a subtle kind of thing, and she was kind of going back and forth. Like, there were moments where you're like, oh, she's getting it, and then there were moments where I was like, okay, well, that's out the window, like, forget about that, or she's not seeing it, or she's deliberately missing it, or I just liked all of that discovery. I think it was a good, like, portrayal of how those relationships can be subtle sometimes, or be, like, such a mind fuck, and she just was like, I just feel bad for Jenny, poor Jenny. So yeah, we like Jenny. I'm so sorry she had to go through that, and I hate that man. And I'm really excited to see where she goes from here, for sure. Lizzie, they need to do more with Lizzie. She's stunning, she's beautiful, she's everything. She's everything. Okay, like what, although I don't, I like that they didn't push romance on her necessarily, because it's like she does need healing, she does need space, she does need time to deal with that. And if you are going to have an assault, I think it's important that you do have the space and time for someone to process it, even though not everybody does that exactly in life. But I'm glad that they weren't trying to be like, that happened, and so, but now be happy for her, or whatever. It was like, she's really fucked up by this. She is really, really fucked up by this. Because that's how it is. I'm wondering where she's gonna go. And yeah, I hope she finds a lovely man, because I do think she wants that, right? It does seem like she wants that, who can help her heal. Although, to be fair, I don't feel like we know much about her, really. I'm trying to, like, think of their personalities. I mean, Jenny and Nan are pretty, and Conchita, I feel like, and Mabel are all very defined, like mapped out. Lizzie is more ambiguous. Like, I don't really know much about her personality, or like, and it's hard to tell because it's like so much of what we see is just what like is a show. You know what I mean? It's just, you're doing it for society. It's hard to really know, and I want to get to know her more. I want more of her. She needs to be in it more. Excited to see where that goes. Conchita, yeah, I mean, they I think they did do a little bit too much telling rather than showing, to be honest, with Conchita. Like, they were really hammering it in that she's the free spirit, she's the rebel, she's fun. And I was like, I get it. It's like, I get it, okay? They just kept doing that, but yeah, so she was clearly defined. She's a free spirit, a rebel, and she's fun. But I did find it interesting, the little arc that she went on of trying to, like, change herself. I was like, I didn't really see that coming for her character, but I thought it was interesting and probably realistic, because it's like, no matter how much you love yourself or how assured you are in yourself and your personality and your identity, a lot of times you can end up falling prey to, like, wanting to be liked or changing yourself for someone else. So that was interesting. I really like her and Dick together. I'm really excited where they are. Like, there was a lot of up and down. There was a lot that didn't really make sense at the time, but now I'm like, oh, it makes sense. It tracks, it checks out, and period. Like, I really want to see where they're going. And now they're in, like, a weird spot because it probably has to stay, right? But, I mean, if he's the Lord and she's the lady, like, can't they tell his mom to fuck off? You know what I mean? Like, girl, give me a break. But I'm glad he's kind of, like, snapped out of it a little bit, and it seems like they're, like, a team now. It's, like, moving forward, their team. Whatever happens, wherever it goes, their team. And I think they work well together, and I think they love each other. And I like that they're messy. I like that they're not that compatible. I like that. I mean, they are in some ways, but like, I kind of like that, because I'm like, I mean, yeah. Sometimes it happens that way. Like, it's. I don't think there's such fundamental incompatibilities that they won't work, but there's a lot of differences and a lot of incompatibility between them, but they still love each other, which I think is a very realistic thing as well. I just want more. I'm just like, oh, give me more. Give me more. They were just setting up so many things. Also, who the fuck is Nan's mom? That's another thing they set up, and they did a really good job of all these breadcrumbs and all these little Easter eggs of, like, the brother's a bad guy, his sister was like, he's evil, and then we see the thing with Lizzie, and then we get there, and then it's like, the thing with Nan is revealed, and then it's later revealed that her real mom isn't dead, and like, and why are they keeping that a secret? Like, what's the tea? Why are they like, why couldn't they tell her? Oh, there's a lot of things that they kind of set up really well throughout the series, but that's another loose thread that I'm like, girl, I want to know. I just want more development. I just want more. Yeah, Dick, I want more of him, especially like I was like confused by him for most of the season. I was just like, girl. And I like Josh Dillon, by the way. Mamma mia, here we go again, period. But at the end, I really like the direction where they're going with him. Really, really, really like. Very intrigued, very interested. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to learn more about him. Can't wait to see him blossom. Honoria as a queen. I love characters like that. Like, I love when, like, kind of like uptight, like, stuffy person kind of like lets their walls down, or like is inevitably influenced by the free spirits around them. And, I liked the arc and progression of that a lot. And yeah, I wasn't expecting the romance with Mabel. In the cupboard scene, I was like, girl. I was like, oh, okay, this is where we're going. I am interested how they're going to navigate that relationship. What are they going to do? Are they going to have to get married? Are they going to be able to stay single and besties? Roommates? And they said something in a line where it was like, we make our own world. I would like to see what that must have been like back then, right? Because undoubtedly there were gay people back then who wanted to be together and who loved each other. And I want to see how they navigated that, because it's such a difficult, it's a minefield. I love that Mabel came out to Lizzie and Lizzie was like, period, queen. I like their relationship. I could see it growing stagnant, I guess. I might like to see either of them with other people. and then maybe circle back to each other. But they're very sweet. I love the dynamics. I love the tropes. The really fiery, spirited, passionate girl with the, closed off, repressed girl, and she's like, I didn't have a problem before you, and like, period. I really like that relationship, and I'm interested to see where it goes. I want to know more about Honoria, though. I want a little bit more of her. Because I liked her presence. I liked her vibe. Every time I was like, I was calmed. I was put at ease. Now, how did that family get 2 great children, and then the third guy is that man? I don't even want to speak on that man. Hate. Hate, double hate, loathe entirely. Okay? He's the worst. It was actually a little, like, cartoonishly villainous sometimes. But I actually wouldn't have minded, like, them staying a bit longer and, like, exploring the psychology of, like, why he's doing that more so, and the specific methods of manipulation, because I did find that interesting. I did find, especially, like, there was one time where she was, like, apologizing, and he's like, of course not, it's okay. And then he, like, locked her out of the room. I was like, oh, very interesting. Like, the mind games that he's playing and the power moves that he, the chess moves. I liked seeing that represented, because people like that are so manipulative and so scary and so sinister, and they have all these plans and all these ideas and all these moves and all these manipulations and machinations, and I liked seeing that. But, I mean, I could do without it. You know what I mean? I would rather Jenny and her child be safe than see a sick man plotting his schemes. But yeah, no, he's the worst. I hate him. I liked Christina Hendricks' character, Mrs. St. George. I liked that she had a journey of self-discovery through her daughters. We love to see it. There were a lot of good themes about motherhood and sisterhood and friendship. A lot of strong, like, female experiences and roles and themes. I'm glad that she's getting out of that marriage, period, as she should. I love that she doesn't give a fuck. I love how much she loves Nan. Oh my god, I love that. I love those storylines when it's, like, not a birth parent, but they take them in and they, like, are their parent. It gets me every time. It's just always so touching and so heartwarming, and so, it, like, gives me faith in humanity. You know what I mean? I'm like, ugh. Period. People are so awesome. People are so capable of so many emotions and so many things. I love how she treated both her daughters the same, how she saw them both as her daughters. Just, period. She was serving in every way you can serve. Yeah, this whole story was such a good setup. Like, I feel like this whole season was set up. You know what I mean? I'm like, ooh, there's so many places we could go from here, which is very interesting. I could see a lot of seasons of this. I could see it going a lot of different ways and changing and evolving. But, like, where they left off was, like, a cliffhanger, but it was, like, a prequel, almost. Like, it was a setup. You know what I mean? Which I kind of hate, because I'm like, oh, girl, I need the follow-through. I need the aftermath of all these things, because it's like, okay, Nan and Theo got married, and Jenny and Guy are going to another country. Like, there's just so many things. It's like, what is going to happen here? And how will it progress? There's so many different options and possibilities that I'm just like, give it to me. I want to see it. And that's interesting. I don't know that, like, I've really felt that sensation with the show, like, getting through a whole season where I felt like, I didn't dislike it, but it did just feel like, like, I needed more. I wanted more. I was like, what are we doing? We're, like, edging here. Like, what, like, you know what I mean? It was just a lot of setup, even though, like, I'm not saying that it was boring or that things didn't happen. Of course they did. But I just feel like the places where they are now are even more interesting than the places they were at the beginning. And so it's like a second beginning. I'm like, ooh, okay, let's start the next season. Let's start the next journey. I like where everyone's situated right now, and, like, can't wait to see where they go. Was it messy? Yeah. Was it historically accurate? I don't know. Do I care? Not really. I think there's a time and place for historically accurate period pieces, for sure. Love my fair share of them. But do I kind of love the phenomenon of, like, I don't know, like, just for the vibes and aesthetic, like, can it be historical? But, like, not? You know what I mean? I don't know, like, what this is based on, or, like, how accurate it is. I don't know if the costumes are accurate. I don't know anything, and I don't care. I don't need the Buccaneers on Apple TV Plus to be a documentary of what it was like during this time. Okay, like, I don't, it's enough that all the girls are serving in their corsets, and there's a Duke. You know what I mean? Like, there's, like, all these things that I'm like, love. I was struggling to kind of figure out the society, which I guess is my fault, because I was like, using previously acquired knowledge of these times, kind of. I was like, okay, so, like, it's normal for all these people to be having sex before marriage and, like, not a big deal. Whereas, like, in a Bridgerton society, of course it is. It was just, like, so normal, and I don't know if that's accurate, but maybe they just were like, I don't know, we want them fucking, so we're gonna let them fuck. Let pretty people fuck. You know what I mean? So I salute that. Love that. Thank you. I wish the sex scenes were a little bit more spicy, to be honest. I love that they're taking certain elements of historical romance and period pieces and utilizing them, and then others they're saying, I don't care. I don't care. And you know what? I don't either. I want more things in this setting. I want more times with these tropes, these figures, these dynamics. Do I need it to be, like, so accurate? No. No, I don't. No, I don't. I need the vibes. It was kind of like picking and choosing, like, what it wanted to do. So it felt very unique and original because it was not quite like anything else. It was like, well, it was like a lot of other things, but also not like them. You know what I mean? It was like so many things that it wasn't like any one thing. So that was interesting, gave it a little edge. We also have, like, you know, Americans in period dramas. Cast me. I'm literally so begging you. I am begging you. Like, the things I would do to get in a corset, in these costumes, in these settings, in these times, in these situations, in this architecture, like, what I wouldn't do, okay? But yeah, no, it's fun seeing, like, Americans and Brits kind of mixed that way, even though some of the girls are, you know, from the UK, it seems, like Australian or British or something, and I thought that was funny. Theo felt a little one note at times. I wish they developed him a little bit more, and I hope that they continue to develop him, because it was just like, they kept hitting on the Duke thing. It was just like, okay, the Duke, pressure being the Duke. Like, I get it. And she's not like other girls. Like, all the girls have been chasing him his entire life and, you know, that type of stuff. I want to learn more about him. I want to know more about him. I like that him and Guy are such good friends and have been for so long. I like that relationship. I don't want to see the deterioration or destruction of that either, which that is an unfortunate side effect of love triangles also. When it's friends, it's like, oh, this is so hurtful and messy. And it's kind of hard to, like, know, because it's, I kind of think about that, and I think about, like, if I was in that situation with my besties, like, my besties are, like, my soulmates. So, like, if I had to choose between, like, but then I'm like, but if I was so in love with the same person as my bestie, I don't know. I would like to think that theoretically I would choose my bestie and I would want to stay friends with my bestie forever instead of the love, but it's like, what they're presenting is a dilemma where it's like, both are very powerful, very strong, very fulfilling loves and relationships. So it's hard to know. It's hard to choose. But yeah, no, I want more of him. I want to learn more about him. Guy is a little bit more developed, a little bit more well-rounded, for sure. We get more of his backstory, you know, how his class affects his personality and the way he navigates everything. And I feel like more of his thoughts, because I think Theo is an introvert, right? Like, and Guy is not, which is part of the reason why, you know, there's compatibility between him and Nan. But Theo's more reserved. But you know what I did like about Theo? I like that he's a reserved man, but he was still emotionally vulnerable. He expressed his emotions, he verbalized them and vocalized them to her. And instead of being like, I think a lot of male characters like that, who are more like shy or introverted, they don't even know what to make of their feelings, and so they don't say it, and they don't even know they feel things, and then it's like, oh, there's always such miscommunication and lack of communication there. So I did like that he was very clear and very specific about his feelings for Nan. I would like to hear more of his thoughts and feelings about other things in the world. You know what I mean? I feel like we heard a lot of thoughts and feelings from Nan and Guy about a lot of different topics and a lot of different things outside of their relationship and romance, and I would like to hear more from Theo. I would like to know him better. But I guess, like, the imposing figure of being a duke, like, there's that separation or whatever. They're both so hot. Sorry. They're so hot. I gotta say it. I gotta do it. I really didn't think I would find either of them attractive when I first started seeing pictures of them, like, or like a clip on Twitter or whatever. I was like, But no, baby, I was sold. I was sold. Hook, line, and sinker. Okay? I'm on board. Ahoy, Captain. Pretty much all the parents suck. What's new? I think that's pretty much everything. Those are first thoughts. I want more. I like where we are. I like the setup. I am excited about being conflicted about a love triangle, because it hasn't happened in a very long time, and it's very rare that it happens. And so I commend all the actors and their chemistry and the writing and the development of both of the love interests individually and then their relationship with Nan. Like, all of it just makes it so complex. Like, it could work either way. Both work. I thought, again, after the first interaction with Guy, I was like, oh, no way I'm going to be shipping her with anybody else. And then I was like, which is really hard to do. It is really hard for me to ship two different ships in a love triangle. So, period. I want to hear everyone's opinions. Who do we prefer? Like, some people hate Guy and Theo, too, for various reasons. If you do, I mean, I guess tell me why, explain, but yeah, what are your thoughts? Who do you ship? Who are you rooting for? Do you think both of them could work? Do you agree with my assessment of it? Do you ship both of them, neither of them? What's the vibe? What's the tea? I would like to talk about this show with people. So if you watch the show and want to talk about it, definitely comment down below. Okay, bye!